What's going on, guys? I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. I had a lot of content for you guys, but I had to get a new GoPro because the LCD on the last one wasn't working. And when I swapped to this new GoPro, I guess it does it in a different format. Now, it just did a bunch of crap that just really frustrated me, so I had to delete everything and reformat my memory cards. So now that I got all that sorted out, I'm gonna show you guys what I've been working on. I had one other project here that I wanted to show you guys what I was doing to it, but I'll just include that in another video when I go to finish it up. Let me show you guys what I've been working on, and we'll get to getting some more progress done on the G53, and I'll tell you about some other future projects later. Alright, I'm sorry for the mess over here, but I got the alternator on, and I just need to weld this part on the hot side pipe right now, and then that would be done. Then I can put the crank pulley on, measure the belt. I have a mock-up belt right here from a belt that I used on my supercharged setup, and it's the same ribs as what's on my crank pulley and the rest of the pulleys. I have to get another pulley like this for here, and that should be it as far as that. Then I just put the radiator in and wire my fans up, the fan up, and I also need to put a push lock fitting like this into this wastegate, my wastegate that's down here. You really can't see it. And I also need to get a loop for this right here. I also welded some O2 sensor bungs into my downpipe, and I got some O2 sensors from what Fuel Tech told me to get, and I'll be able to do closed loop tuning with that. I plan on driving the car to this weekend to Hickory for a friend's memorial who passed away last weekend at the Wanna Go Fast event. So I figured out that I can wire in my fuel pumps to my ECU. I would also like to wire in the dual pumps onto an output for the ECU to command on at like 5 pounds of boost. And I'm also working on redoing my fuel cell. Well, not fuel cell, but my fuel system. Okay, so this is my surge tank. The two lines at the bottom are gonna go to the external pump. So the one on the left is a return from the regulator that's up front. The two top ports will be, one will be the feed from the internal tank pump, which is a wallbore 450, and the other one would be a return from the surge tank back to the fuel tank. I also dropped the components off to get the drive shaft made, so hopefully it'll be done here maybe tomorrow, and I'll be installing that. I have to get a new slave cylinder. I don't know if I put that in the last video or not, but as soon as I went to go pump it up and get pressure to the slave cylinder, it exploded inside the transmission, so I had to take the transmission out again, and it's not going to be fun doing it underneath the car. So the slave cylinder should be here about 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow. So once that gets here, I'm gonna put the slave on, get the transmission on the motor, and bleed the clutch, and hopefully my drive shaft is done, and I'll probably work on the brakes too. Okay, so yesterday and a bit of last week, I was working on this 5th gen Camaro. It's a 6.2 liter SS. I put a BTR stage 2 cam in it, and the spring retainers, push rods, hardened push rods. It has some eBay headers on it, some eBay long tubes, and HPS intake manifold, not intake manifold, but intake, 4-inch intake. It's a pretty good friend of mine. We plan on maybe putting nitrous on the car in the near future, but we want to do an intake manifold. But we know if we do an intake manifold, we're gonna have to upgrade to some bigger headers. So right now we're just playing with what we can afford with, because the cam kit was pretty cheap. It's not cheap, but I mean it's fairly priced. So I'm gonna do a cold start video for you, and then we'll get back to working on the G53. Alright guys, so I got all the fuel system stuff done. I haven't pulled the transmission yet. It's not going to take me long. It's only like 7 bolts really. And just to pull out, the hardest part about getting it out is pulling it off the actual clutch. So I'm going to do that. But first I'm going to weld this pipe, one of the hot pipes. I'm just going to lay a bead here and underneath. I took the water pump off because I did a closed loop style for the steam port. So I have the line ran right here. I just need to measure it out and cut it, and I may use the excess line to make a oil feed line because I don't really like how this one is, and this angle is kind of tall, so I want to get rid of that. So let me get to welding. Alright guys, so I got the crank pulley back on. I got the oh, I need to put this ground wire back up here, but got the pipe heat wrapped, and got the water pump on, and everything's on back up front. I measured the belt. I got to get a 54.5-inch belt, and I made the line for the steam port and the oil line. I just have to get another 4AN fitting for down here where my little oil junction is, because that one's like Windows eBay. That's threaded on the line. Tomorrow I'm gonna pull the trans because there's a hell of a lot of mosquitoes out here, and they're biting the hell out of me. So I'm trying to get out of here. So I'm gonna pull the trans tomorrow, wait for the slave to come in, and then hopefully the drive shaft is done. I get the slave in at 3 tomorrow, put that in, put the trans back in, and then we will be able to drive the car under power. And I also have to wire in the alternator. It's just a power wire and another wire to a power switch that excites the alternator so it knows that it's charged. It needs to charge the battery. So that's fairly simple. And I also wired in the fuel pumps to the I wired them into the extra outputs part of the harness. So once I turn the key on, I'll just reprogram the ECU to turn on the fuel pumps under load, when it hits 5 p. When the computer sees 5 psi or more, it'll turn on the extra pumps, and it'll turn on the regular pump as soon as the ignition is turned on, and it'll prime it. So it's a pretty cool system. I'm still learning about this stuff as I go. I mean, it's all transferable from like Hondas to this. So this stuff is pretty simple. I just have to navigate myself around it. So hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you in the morning.